All right, yo, what up? It's Andrew. We're back for another more targeted video. And by more targeted, I mean I'm going to look at this Azure Vault plus 7 run that we didn't finish and talk about what went wrong, what I could have done better. Because the key to improving is to review your own gameplay and figure out what you could have done better. Obviously, when you're dealing with a team game, team anything, there's lots that can go wrong for a lot of different people, but the only person you're in control of is yourself. So, uh, yeah. So this run, I remember this started off a little rough from the beginning in the sense that we kind of had this weird pull where we didn't do a big pull to start with. That's totally kind of whatever. And I think actually for the first little while, we don't actually have any deaths. So we're actually just going to go ahead and skip ahead. First death is 100% on me. I believe, yeah, I just straight up stood in a swirly. Come up here in just a moment. So we're actually going to take a look. So I remember thinking like this ground feature here kind of like messed with my head a little bit. So let's actually just back up a little bit more and see kind of what we're concerned with here. Okay, so right now we've got two tenders, which I believe I was thinking at the time. I'm thinking about like interrupting things. You can even see on the interrupt tracker that I used my kick on. It looks like this one that I've got targeted. I just kicked this because I'm thinking, like I'm the healer. I want to be helpful. I want to be useful. There's not a ton of really dangerous damage in this part. The only dangerous damage really is if somebody's getting targeted by the stun. And that's actually something I can dispel too. So like I have a lot of tools at my disposal, whether it's interrupt, dispel, or just straight healing to deal with that mechanic. But anyway, I'm trying to think proactively. Plus, this is a Tyrannical key, so the damage isn't even going to be that high. So that's where my mind's at, instead of like healing or really paying attention to my own character. But let's just roll the clip. So I'm getting some hots out, dropping regrowth, making sure I've got all my maintenance stuff out. Not sure what I'm about to go for here. So that was just a wild growth for really no reason. Yeah, in a sense, I guess I'm sort of on autopilot here. I got my second life bloom out, and it looks like, yeah, apply Cenarian Ward to the tank, just because that's kind of the default thing to do. And then, okay, so I got this. The other puddle was under me there. Now I'm repositioning after that. My health's already low from being in that puddle, and then here we are. I'm just not moving out of it properly. There's really nothing else to say about that. Let's see, did I click on the death recap here? No. Just trying to res and trying to get back. So I don't know. What's the answer here? How can I like improve on this? I think really the answer here is to just be better. Potentially think more about practicing, about looking around and being aware of my surroundings. I do tend to get a little tunneled on things, especially when I'm a little flustered. I don't know why I would be flustered in this situation. We're on a +7 Tyrannical key, killing 2 tenders before the first boss. So there's really nothing to be flustered about. This is just, I need to, I don't know, be more comfortable about things. Yeah. So we'll watch it one more time and move on from that. So let's keep going. This boss here. Okay, so this boss is definitely, this is what ended the run, right? This boss. Yeah, so this first time, this is the crucial moment, right? So the 3 of us here are kind of grouped up, and we need to break these trees out. So I've got knocked out here. I'm looking at these 2 trees. I'm thinking, all right, I'm just gonna stand here and be happy with it. I kind of reposition a little bit, actually. Okay, interesting. Well, I'll let the clip play out and you can see what happens because, yeah, I get kind of owned by the fact that we had some overlap here, obviously. Now, you can look at that and say, Warrior should have jumped away, or I should have, or I don't know. I don't know. You can come up with a bunch of different excuses there, but ultimately, this is my fault for not realizing. I straight up didn't realize that there was some overlap here going into this cast. I guess it's not a cast, it's just the expiration of the debuff, right? That works. How do you actually track the time on this thing? It is a debuff. Why is it not? showing in my debuff bar. That's interesting. Is that a no? There's no way that's like a private aura. Okay, that's weird. So sorry, I'm looking at. Looks like we had an incorp go off too. That's super awkward. Not that it would have helped in this case, but to not have that go off. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm looking at like the debuff here on my raid frame, but I don't see it on my. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Doesn't matter. This thing's about to expire. Yeah. So I remember from this poll, I was just not paying attention to my positioning. Again, I think there's a theme here, and focus more on getting my hots out because I know this is about to be a big burst of damage and I need to make sure it's healed up. Looks like I did my regrowth a little bit too early regardless. And yeah, I don't have my life wounds out. I don't have my F-flow out. I don't know. So here, this is a scenario where I think there's two things to think about, right? So obviously there's the immediate issue of, hey, I need to just be more aware of my surroundings, which, that's pretty obvious. And the solution there is, instead of trying to kind of min-max, or one way to help with this, right, is instead of trying to min-max my like tree coverage, I should have just stayed with these two trees, right? Like that would have, if I kind of come down here where my mouse is circling, position there, I usually get these two trees that I'm far enough away from everybody that I don't need to worry about it. There is the one downside there that if I'm all the way over there, I'm probably out of the range of our mage. Is that our mage or is our... Yeah, okay, he's casting polymorph for... Oh, right, on the incorpse. So that's, something to think about too. A little bit more minor. So that's the first thing, is just be a little more conservative with my tree clear placement. But I think the second thing, and maybe the more important thing, which I'm not going to be able to do right now since the servers are down, but I am gonna make a note of this to add some basically a weak aura to give myself kind of like some timings for when I need to start ramping to heal the explosive damage. And honestly, it's not even like that crazy. So, if I'm getting the timing right and the kind of the rotation for healing the damage from this, I can kind of autopilot that and not worry, and then focus a little bit more on the positioning. That way I'm not frantically trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, I forgot to put my hots up. I got to get things out. So if I have, like a weak aura that's keying off of the DBM timers for when this ability is about to come out, then I can start doing the ramp, get the heals out, not have to worry about it, and then have all my brain power for getting the positioning right. Second thing is, the damage from this ability is not lethal if you're not overlapped, obviously. So it's actually like not even that big of a deal. There is obviously a bit of a concern for if this key level gets pushed high enough, things will start to get one-shotty. But again, I think having a nice like weak aura UI element that is saying that it's coming up in a way that will be something I can actually see, I'll be able to plan for it either with defensives. So like here, for example, I've got bark skin for myself. I've got iron bark for somebody that doesn't necessarily have a personal. We have plenty of things up. I don't have enraged regeneration or whatever the warrior DR tracked. We've got the mage has got the ice block thingy. We've got dispersion. We've got fade on the priest. So like we have plenty of tools to live this. We've even got mage barrier. So there's plenty of stuff to like help with one-shot damage if that actually becomes an issue. Cool. Okay, so I will make a note to create a UI element to make it more obvious with like a countdown situation for when this damage is coming out. That way I can autopilot the ramp and have more brain power freed up to get my positioning right and actually pay attention to the fact that, maybe I'm next to somebody. All right, so that's an easy thing to add. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit to the next attempt. Tries to solo this, but fails. Okay, so this next one, again, there's going to be a theme here, and okay. Obviously, I get hit by the frontal bear. So there's two things at play. Number one, I'll let the clip play again, and you'll notice that, Tank wasn't doing me any favors by moving the boss that much. Obviously, again, I'm not here to critique other people's play, but it is. I just have to say how funny I legitimately was just kind of laughing when this happened. Because like you just swinging the boss around, like what am I supposed to do now? The other part of this that I do want to focus on is I straight up fat fingered my keyboard trying to get out of this, which again was a bit of a moment of panic. I don't know if we can kind of see it in my actions. Obviously, I don't have a camera or anything on what my fingers were doing, but I can kind of walk through it. So, Shift E is cat sprint, and Control E is roar. And did I just literally just roar? No. So I remember. Okay, we're swinging around. I'm trying to get out because at this point I'm assuming he's gonna like hold still because a of all I'm not paying attention to where the trees are. Right. So again, aside, not critiquing anyone, just saying like if you are tanking this, it's really good to be like to have your positioning lined up before this cast comes out. That way you're not having to swing the boss around to actually get the trees when the ability happens. But regardless, okay, so I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I've got this frontal, and it came from my right side, so I'm moving left because I don't know. I'm assuming in my head that like he's not gonna come this way. Did so then like as soon as I realized like okay he's still coming, I got to go the other way. So I think what I actually did here was what did I hit? I hit Shift D is my incapacitating roar keybind, which obviously that's not the correct button to be hitting here, but I believe I distinctly remember fat fingering these keys, so I was going for Shift E, which is cat form sprint, which obviously is on cooldown now that we're looking at it here. So that wouldn't have even worked anyway. The bear form thing is funny because like maybe that would have saved me if I had the talent. Okay, so then yeah, so there's the roar going off. And then I again I'm like fat fingering keys, so I'm not actually moving in a a straight line like I should be. I think I was simultaneously trying to sprint and strafe, and that's where the movement got kind of weird. So anyway, yeah, don't get out in time. Didn't have time to press my bark skin or anything, and yeah, there's the result. Again, pretty funny, honestly. Looking back on it, that's the part too, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just realized something. Did my ping bait our tank into swinging the boss around? Oh my god, I think it did. That's actually hilarious because look, he's lined up for a nice clear here, right? But I ping him. Oh my god. Okay, that's so funny too, because like, okay, there's two things going on there, right? Like one, the ping there was me indicating to, so I'm in voice with the mage and the warrior in this clip. So that ping was me indicating to them like this is where I'm going for the knockback. Because like again, this is the second attempt. The first attempt there was an issue with overlap, so I'm like, okay, this is mine. Stay away from it. But the tank saw that, tank not being in voice, obviously, and so thought that I was indicating that he should be pointing. Oh, wow, okay, I didn't even realize that. That's wild. Huh. And actually, this is a more optimal setup because he's getting more trees. If he had just stuck with the lineup here like he's got, I don't know that these trees would have been gotten. Maybe the hitbox is large enough that they would have been, but wow, that's actually crazy. Okay, anyway, let's continue. So what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. The ping, right? Like that's fantastic. Also, he died to that. Again, that's not we'll get into that in the next and final attempt, but oh man, wow. I can't believe that I baited our tank. Okay, so I guess the lesson there is to like be very careful about communication. Maybe so the solution there being before the poll be to tell everyone like, hey, if I ping during this fight, it's me indicating where I'm going to go with the explosive brand. We pulled some trash here or whatever. That was a mistake, but whatever. Just don't pull trash. Okay. So the last and final attempt, this one's going pretty well. And this is actually the one I've been the most interested in seeing because it's this one. This is going to sound dumb, but hear me out on it. So this one was not my fault. So I want to look and see what I could have done better. All right, so we've got explosive brand. We're positioning. I've noticed the tank is there, so I'm super conservative here. Actually, I'm not super conservative. I'm trying to get everything. Looks like we got it. This is pretty good. Again, I was not ready for healing this up. Also, everyone's really spread out here, so that makes the healing of it a little bit awkward. Okay, so now I'm kind of panicking a little bit, maybe, because I'm trying to... So I got F-flow down, trying to just heal everyone up. It didn't actually have a big cooldown for anything, so I don't know. Anyway, we're getting everyone healed up. So 5, 3. I'm watching the countdown on the boss frames here. So I think this is where the tank dies. If you strike and no, okay, he lives this one. And then we've got erupting fissure, and he's dead. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, I'm gonna play this back again, and I'm gonna see if I can watch his buffs. I don't know if I'm tracking every single defensive thing that DKs have, but all right, look, he's at 75% health. I'm casting heals actively on him. So my initial thought here is like, okay, I could have Iron Barked to give him a defensive. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to do. And that's really all that I could do. Now, okay, so I don't want to... I'm going to pause the recording for a moment because I want to see if I can pull up logs for this. All right, so I had to upload it real quick, but we got it. So this is looking at the death log from what we just watched on the Death Knight. And I believe what we can see here is that he... So the Vamp Blood, which we did have tracked, that had fallen off. And then recently used Death Strike. That's like a damage shield, I believe, and this Frost Shield. So I guess we need to see what the Bone Shield situation was. So we want to look at buffs. We want to look at our tank. And again, I'm not doing this to try to flame the guy or say that he should have done something better. But I want to know, like, could I have seen that buffs were not active and reacted in a way to hopefully save him? So, all right, we're gonna assume Bone Shield was up. Blood Shield was up. Okay, Rune Mastery. So maybe there's like a there should have been a Rune Tap or Blood Tap or something. That's like a small short duration DR that Blood and Death Knights have that they often take in Mythic Plus for situations just like this. Yeah, Vamp Blood ran out. Frost Shield, healing buffs. So I think that's maybe something that I can use. So I have this weak aura now that displays like defensive buffs on party frames, and it gives a little like highlight thing to kind of say like, hey, people are shielded. And I think you can actually see it in some of the recording here. Yeah, so this like green pixel dot outline and then the icon here, that's showing. So the green outline says, hey, this person's using something defensive right now, and then the icon there is a little more specific with the duration and a countdown. So I can, if I have time to actually see what it is. So I think, and it's awkward for tanks, right? Because in general, you kind of want to like just trust your tank that they're going to take care of themselves, which, the fact that I'm even considering this is maybe a little bit too much, especially, but like when you're pugging, right? Like you never know. Like maybe this tank just didn't have the blood tap thing that I was talking about. I don't know if we can see talents from this, but that's certainly a possibility. And then, yeah, here we go. Let's just look. And maybe this is something that I need to check beforehand, right? So I don't know if this is like his current talents or the talents that he had during the run, but I mean, Rune Tap, there it is. Reduces all damage by 20%. Didn't have it. So, maybe that's something I needed to be aware of, that I might need to do some urgency external usage. Tombstone again. Yeah, so there he had options. I didn't realize that he didn't have a thing up. So if I had realized that there was something that needed to be accounted for, then I could have done something about it. So again, I think my initial instinct of I could have ironbarked there is correct. The action for this is, I don't know, when I'm pugging, A of all, be aware of like what tank defensives the tank has for things like these tank busters. And then yeah, try to pay attention, try to know what the tank busters are, and pay attention to whether or not the tank has an active mitigation up for the tank buster. And if I can recognize ahead of time if they don't, then I'll be ready with the iron bark. So in this situation, right, like at this point, so it'd actually probably be when the cast starts that I'd need to start paying attention. So we'll look right here. So at this point, I should be looking, all right, does the tank have, what was it, Blood Tap, Icebound Fortitude, and a Magic Shell? I actually don't know if Erupting Fissure is physical or not. Let's look that up real quick. Erupting Fissure, wow. I assume it's magic, but this is not, what's this guy's name? Laymore. Laymore. Let's just look at his abilities and figure out. That way we know. Where's Erupting Fissure? Erupting Fissure. Arcane damage. Okay, so Anti-Magic Shell would work for this as well. So those are all the things I need to look at and see. Okay, so that's why the Blood Shield doesn't work. I believe that's only physical damage. Okay, so yeah, at that point, I'm like, all right, I need to pause, hover with the Iron Bark. The dotting things up while the tank's not at full health is a little awkward. That's probably something I should be paying attention to, especially given that there's a tank buster coming up. Okay, so I notice, okay, we don't have Blood Tap, we're not using AMS, we don't have any active mitigation up, the cast is going out, oh shit, okay, he's not doing anything, I gotta press Iron Bark now, which, again, I'm casting a couple of rejuvenations for some reason. I don't know. That's another thing I need to clean up in my own personal play. But anyway, that's a place where I could have recognized an Iron Bark would have saved him because there was no active mitigation up. We would have avoided this wipe. We probably would have killed the boss and maybe still timed the key. I don't know. There's some other issues in this run too that maybe would have led to some more issues later down the road. But anyway, this video is getting super rambly, so we're gonna call it good there. Hopefully this was at least a little bit interesting. Hopefully the long form and me fumbling over words and hopefully having somewhat coherent statements was helpful or interesting. If you did think it was helpful or interesting, maybe like the video or leave a comment saying what your favorite part was. That'd be cool for YouTube engagement. Yeah. All right. Well, my name's Andrew. This is a video. I'll see you next time. Bye.